2023, it's come and gone. We look back on it and often quite critical of what we did or didn't do. Is this real? Do you feel that, these expectations, New Year's resolutions, goals, is it helpful?
We do so much good in our parenting journey, but we're so quick to remember the parts that we don't do well. I'm always trying to strive to be a better mom and be more present and available for my kids. So there's something very real about it, but there's also the flip side of that, which is at what cost?
Sammy, as you are coming into now a new season, you've had your little baby girl. What's going through your mind at the moment for this year ahead?
It's very anxiety provoking for both my husband and I, because, now we're having to leave our little girl that I've been with 7 days a week. I think we're just going to have to take it step by step and see how things go.
And when we are setting expectations that are far too high, all that will come of that is we are going to be left disappointed and feeling like we have failed. I think you're spot on to say that if we can think about guilt a little bit differently, that actually it allows us to navigate that process so much easier.
And Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024 and our first episode of Let's Talk Baby, one of many. And I'm joined by Sammy. Hi, Sammy. Nice to see you again in the new year.
Yes. Hi, Kath. Happy New Year.
Thank you. And Jenny, so lovely to see you again.
Oh, thanks, Kath. And so nice to be here with you and Sammy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a very productive year full of chats and good content. So to help our mommies on their parenting journey, and even our dads, we even spoke about that, having some dads on board, because I think, dads play such a crucial role. So that's going to be an exciting addition in this new year. So I think coming into the new year, I'd love to start with you, Jenny. Just your insight, as always, is so valuable. But, you kind of 2023, it's come and gone, and we look back on it and go, that was really not great, that was great, and often quite critical of what we did or didn't do, and feeling like, and it's, I suppose, a good thing, we wipe our slate clean and we get a fresh start. And I think there is something helpful about that. But sometimes I think that can come with a lot of expectations on the new year. So we put a lot of pressure on 2024 and also on ourselves, and our family. What new things? Is this real? Do you feel that, these expectations, New Year's resolutions, goals, like, what is that, and is it helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so real, and I think it's such a big thing that we have to navigate as parents, and particularly as moms. And I think it's probably something we hold ourselves to all year round, but seems to be exacerbated with the start of a new year. But there's almost this unwritten rule in parenthood, and I think in motherhood, that we think we need to be striving for perfection, and we hold ourselves so tightly to this expectation of ourselves, and we're so critical of ourselves when we don't meet that expectation. And I often ask moms to reflect on, what they've done wrong and how easily that comes to them, yet to think about what we do right and all that we do right. And there's so much that we do right. It's not as front of mind. And I think that's, something we really have to hold on to, is that we do so much good in our parenting journey, but we're so quick to remember the parts that we don't do well, or the times that we fail, the times we lose our cool and shout at our kids, or the times that we mess up in some way. And we really hold on to those moments. And I think if we can encourage ourselves to have more grace with ourselves as parents, and to allow those moments to be what they are, which is the odd marking in a sea of, good moments and moments where we're showing up for our kids in a positive way. But I think there is something about the new year that makes us feel like we wipe aside all the things we've done wrong in the past, and we come with new intentions. And while on the one hand, that's really good, because it's telling us that we're striving to be better parents, and we should always be doing that. I'm always trying to strive to be a better mom and be more present and available for my kids. So there's something very real about it, and something really good about striving for that. But there's also the flip side of that, which is at what cost? And, how do we set ourselves goals that are encouraging us to be better, but are not setting us up for failure and setting us up for disappointment? And so a huge part is really managing our own expectations around what are we expecting of ourselves as parents for the year that lies ahead. And when we are setting expectations that are far too high, all that will come of that is we are going to be left disappointed and feeling like we have failed. And so I really urge parents to think about what their goals are, their parenting goals of this new year, and to really reflect about what is important and how we show up, rather than trying to strive for this idea of being the perfect parent. How can we be more realistic so that it's a goal that's achievable? I often think about how on the 1st of January, almost all of us, I want to say, have these aspirations for fitness and, healthy eating. Kath, I'm sure you can speak to that. And, all these goals. And it's a very universal theme that on the 1st of January, we're done with our unhealthy ways, and we have these big ideas for what we're going to do. And what research actually tells us is that most people, that trajectory typically fizzles out probably on the 1st of Feb, because we set expectations that are too high. That we end up saying, we want to exercise 7 days a week, and we're only juicing and eating greens and things that are not maintainable or sustainable. And so it's the same with parenting. We don't want to be on the extreme. We don't want to be trying to be this perfect version of a parent, but rather, what can we do that is something that will last and be maintained throughout the year?
I like that. Yeah, and I think, Sammy, as you are coming into now a new season, you've had your little baby girl, and she's, coming up to 5-6 months old, and, you're going to go back to work, and now you're going to be working with your baby. So what's going through your mind at the moment for this year ahead? And just maybe some of your anxieties, some of your fears. Just maybe share with us a bit and how you navigate in that.
Yeah. So I think obviously a big thing for me is, going back into full-time work. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners have also been faced or are going to face a similar situation where your maternity leave is ending, and it's the reality, you're now out of your baby bubble and your baby moon, and it's now, back to reality and work. And it's very anxiety provoking for both my husband and I, because, now we're having to leave our little girl that I've been with 24 hours, a day, 7 days a week, in the care of somebody else. And, it's kind of like, will this person know how I like to do things? Will they implement the routine that how I like it, and how we do things? And I think it's also just like, it's important to just remind ourselves, so we've got somebody who is going to be with our little girl, and she's been with us now for the last month and a bit. So she's kind of learned everything, that's got to do with Kyla and how we do things and her routine. So, we've been lucky in that sense that Kyla's going to be at home. And I know a lot of kids, we'll go to like a day creche or a day mother. We've kind of put that in place because Matt and I knew that this was going to come up, that when I start off with work, I feel a little bit more confident that Kyla has spent time with a person that's going to be looking after her, and that, her routine is kind of known by this person. But it doesn't take the anxiety away of, leaving in the morning. I'm now, not going to be with her the whole day. And, whereas I am my sort of own boss in that I can like pop home, but I know a lot of people don't have that luxury, and it's back to the, 9 to 5. So I think, and I'm sure a lot of other parents can resonate with the anxiety that they feel of now leaving their little ones. It's something that I'm going to have to face and navigate for the first time. And it's going to be weird because normally I would just, walk out the door, say bye to Benji, and that's our little fur baby, and that was it. Now, it's I can almost feel like I'm going to be on my phone the whole time and checking in at work and how is she doing, and needing to get updates and that type of a thing. So I think the new year for me is exciting. Like Jenny said, it's a fresh slate and new goals. But for me as a new mom, it's also coming, like you say, with new anxieties as well. And a big one is obviously leaving your little bubba in the care of somebody else. So it's going to be a tricky one. But I think we're just going to have to take it step by step and see how things go.
I think, Jenny, do you also, just listening to what Sammy's saying, it's that feeling between the anxiety, I'm leaving my baby, but also the exciting, I'm also going back to something that I love. And I think it's something I'm coming across a lot in my practice is moms going back to work because they actually love it. We have this thing of, oh, shame, she's got to go back to work. But I actually spoke to a mom yesterday. She's actually a pilot who flies for FlySafe Air. And we were just chatting and I laughed a bit about how she was trying to work out when she would express in the air, in the cockpit, or where she would. But it was quite sweet in that she just said, Kath, I love my job. We've invested a lot also in our careers, and that is also a part of who we are. But at the same time, we've got these precious humans that rely on us, and we love that, and we want to be the best mom we can be. And it's do you have any a tip for us just navigating? I find even with older kids, just that navigating the workspace but that new mom going back to work, but also acknowledging I do love it. Just how do you get that right in your mind, that space?
And the mom guilt.
Well, that's exactly my answer. Is I think that we experience an incredible amount of guilt, and it's the guilt that makes the experience tainted. And when we remove the guilt from the component, we can actually appreciate it for what it is. That how amazing that I get to be the parent of this little incredible child, but also get to be a different role, because I'm not just a mom. I'm a mom and I'm a wife and I'm an employee, or I'm a sister and I'm a friend. We are so many different things. And often when we become mothers, we forget all those other titles. We forget our other roles, and we only immerse ourselves in the mother role. And society has let us think that that's what we should do and that's what we should want to do. And that's why there is guilt when we go back to work, because we think, should I not be choosing to want to stay at home? Why am I excited about possibly going back to work? Why am I excited on a Monday when a Monday rolls round and I've had the crazy of the weekend, and the guilt that comes with that? And so I think you're spot on to say that if we can think about guilt a little bit differently and not experience enormous guilt, that actually it allows us to navigate that process so much easier.
So that's it, moms. Let go of your guilt. So important. Totally. Kind of just take it in a box, chuck it out, and just go, I can enjoy both. I love that. And I think that's so important.
Totally. And Kath, maybe you can also just touch on the nutrition goals, starting the new year off, like Jenny touched on healthy eating, and, everybody kind of wants to be healthy in the new year. How do we apply that to our kids? And what are some realistic sort of goals going into the new year for our little ones?
So I think for me, what's really important, if I had to look at my booking book, it always gets very full in January and February. Everyone wants to change the way they eat. And I think there's a benefit there, and it is good. That's not bad. But I think it's, again, realistic. My answer to that would be that it doesn't matter what time of year, but you need to make small changes regularly, and so that they become cumulative changes of health. And it might mean, for example, just taking out all the sugar juice, and that's all you do. You don't change anything else. And maybe that's all you do for that week, that month, until everyone's adapted to it. You found good or healthy alternatives. They've learned to love water. Then that's the goal that you have. And so it's not like you tried that 2024, you're going to quickly fix everything and everyone's eating habits, but it's making small little goals. And also, if you've got older kids, involve them in those goals and changes that you're going to make. If they're little and you're wanting to make some changes to their diet, do it so that you can manage it. Because if you've got to go and run around and try and come up with new recipes from scratch, it's quite overwhelming. Take your existing recipes that you do that are comfortable and just add a bit of extra veggies or add a fruit, or, just make a little change regularly throughout 2024. And when you get to the end of 2024, you'll look back and go, wow, look where we are now from where we started. But if you try and fix everything in January, February, exactly as Jenny says, by March, you are going to have fallen because you're just going to say it's too much. It's too overwhelming. It's too expensive. It's too difficult. So small changes regularly when it comes to nutrition, both for you and for your family. So, thank you, ladies. This was, I think, such a wonderful start to the year, and so excited for our exciting topics that we'll be discussing as we go forward. For all of you out there, be kind to yourself, be gentle as you go into the new year. Yes, it is a new year. You feel like you've got a bit more energy. Hopefully you had a nice break, but make changes gently. Don't feel guilty. You're a good enough mom. You're a good enough dad. And we look forward to journeying more with you. Thank you.